In this video, we're going to begin applying financial formulas. And the first thing I want to talk about is what a rate is, because these problems all will include an interest rate. So with a rate, we're comparing two quantities as a quotient. And these will have different units. For instance, everyone's used to the idea of 60 miles per hour, and this is a rate. It's comparing a distance to a time. Now, the way I think of an interest rate is that it's comparing the price for either using someone else's money or for someone to borrow my money, and we're comparing that to 1 year of time. For instance, if I invest in a bond and it's going to pay 3% every year, then after 1 year, I'll be earning 3 cents for every dollar I've invested. Another way to think of this is that you'll earn $3 for every $100 you invest. On the other hand, if your credit card has a rate of 18%, then every year you will have to pay 18 cents for every dollar you've borrowed from them, or $18 for every $100 you've borrowed from them. Now, most people take the point of view when they see this 18%, for instance, that it's going to be $18 for every $100 borrowed. On the other hand, when we go to actually use the 18%, we're going to rewrite it as a decimal. And at that point, it more takes on the idea that it's how many cents per dollar. This isn't going to be a big deal in terms of carrying out the problems, but I think it's a good idea to have an intuitive feel for what an interest rate is actually telling you. Now, these are going to be financial formulas, and so I just want to mention that a formula is going to set up an equation. Usually on the left side of the equal sign we'll have a single letter, and that's the item that we're trying to find. And then on the right side we'll have a number of letters, and those will be waiting for us to supply values. And then when we operate on those values, we can find the value for the item on the left. For instance, in this first set of problems, we're going to be using the simple interest formula. And in that formula, A is the future amount of money we'll have, P is the present amount of money we have, R is the rate of interest expressed as a decimal, and T is the amount of time that we leave the money in the account or we borrow the money from someone else. Now, when I have you doing these problems, what I would like you to be able to do is use the formula that you're given along with some information to fill in two ideas. First, within the information, I'd like you to identify the values that we know. Secondly, I'd like you to substitute these values into the proper place and then simplify the expression. For instance, see if you can find the value after 3 years if $1,000 is deposited at a rate of 3% simple interest. Well, the first thing I'll need is to identify the values that I know. I'll know the time, that'll be T. I'll know the amount right now, that's the principal amount or the present amount, and that's $1,000. And I also know the rate, it's going to be 3%. So here are the values I know. Notice again that the rate is in the form of a decimal. Now I take my formula, and looking back at the values I currently know, I can substitute 1,000 for P, 0.03 for R, and 3 for T. When I simplify this using my calculator, I find the values 1,090, and at the end I'll need to label what I have 1,090 of in this case dollars. See if you can do this one. In this case, our known values are, we currently have $10,000, so that's our principal. Our rate is going to be 0.015, and our time will be 30 years. Starting with the simple interest formula, I'll substitute 10,000, 0.015, and 30. Then I'll carry out the operations using my calculator, and again, try to put them all in at once. You should get 14,500, and so at the end of 30 years we would have $14,500. Now in practice, simple interest is almost never used, and the only reason that we're working on these problems is to be able to identify the principal amount, the rate, and the time. In the next video, we're going to start moving into compound interest, and that's the kind of interest you should expect to see in the future.